Hi guys, Steve Navarro again. Hope you got some benefit out of last week's presentation. I certainly enjoyed it. Love talking shop, talking about some of our customers and what we've done for them. Christine asked me to go through some questions and answers that you provided. Great questions, by the way. Love them. So let's go ahead and get to it. The first one revolves around how we find our customers, and especially being a local Baltimore agency, how do we land great accounts like the NFL and Microsoft as an example? Well, there are a number of different ways that we go about it. As you can imagine, we get web leads through things like search engine optimization or the content that we're producing. So people will either email us or call us because they came across that information. Some other ways, we do a lot of speaking engagements. So they'll see us out in at industry events, as well as partner relationships. So a couple of good examples are the NFL. We've got partners with some technology firms, and as they go and sell their technology, some of their customers, like the NFL, need help, and we can help them not only from a marketing standpoint but also from a technology standpoint. So we've got those relationships. Microsoft is another great example, which was not so typical, but it happens, whereby we had a customer that was working with us, left that firm that they were working with, went to Microsoft, and found out that Microsoft was going to go to market looking for new agencies. They got us on that list to receive an RFP, a request for proposal. We received it, we responded to it, ended up winning it, and so we started doing work with Microsoft. So there's a host of different ways that we come across opportunities, as well as proactively seeking out relationships with some of these brands. So a variety of ways, but really good question. Next question revolves around web marketing, how to optimize, how might you be able to make certain adjustments to your marketing efforts and web presence without doing a whole lot of market research. That's a tough one because my opinion is you have to always do market research. There are definitely some adjustments that you can make in terms of, doing a better job at optimizing some of your content and the website that you have. But at the end of the day, market research is critical for a number of reasons. One, you've got to really understand your competitive landscape. As I mentioned in last week's presentation, it's not just about your direct competitors, but especially out on the web, who are you competing with? Search rankings, paid search positioning, for example. But market research also helps you establish achievable goals and helps you define what your KPIs need to be to ensure that you're headed in the right direction, and help you navigate to ensure that you're making the proper adjustments and setting proper budgets. So even if you're not spending hundreds of hours doing it, you spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour. You gotta create that baseline, and that's how market research can help you out. Next question, talking about brands having personalities, and do you need to develop multiple personalities for national products or divisions, for example? That's another really good question, and you have to be careful with the concept of developing a brand personality, because you literally do run the risk of kind of creating a bit of schizophrenia, if you know what I mean. If you look at brands like Coca-Cola as an example, you know what they stand for, and you know who they're marketing to and what their personality is, compared to if you've seen that commercial with Matthew McConaughey for Lincoln. I think that's a really good example where it's not as obvious, but kind of is. What they're trying to establish there is to relate to a more established generation, and to convince them that they, like us, are deep thinkers and have put a lot of time and effort into designing their vehicles for us. And so that's kind of part of the personality that they're establishing with the Lincoln brand. And think about the people that are driving Lincolns. They're more established, older people, older just being, 40s and up, for example. So I thought that was a pretty good example as well. How to stay up to date with communication technologies, especially using things like Vine, and are there some examples of how some brands are leveraging Vine to reach millennials? So yes, there are a lot of examples, one of which is higher ed. Brands, marketers recognize that, whether it be Vine, Instagram, Facebook, others, each of these channels, each of these platforms has a particular audience makeup. So whether it be demographic or psychographic information, these marketers recognize that they are great vehicles to reach them. Vine is a great one, really kind of more in the traditional advertising sense of creating an impression, a stamp of an impression to influence action down the road. So it's not so much designed for you to take immediate action like a transactional type thing. They're just advertising and trying to instill that brand personality. A couple of good examples include, if you look up, and I recommend that you do, go on Vine, check out Gap, Sephora is another good one, Samsung, and even Target has some really cool creative approaches to defining their brand and reaching the millennial audience on Vine. So check that one out. Okay, so real quick, I think the last question is around competing for customers' time and attention versus direct competitors, and becoming more of an investigator versus and researcher versus a marketer of products and services. So the answer to that is yes, absolutely. You end up spending a very significant amount of time doing that investigation and research, and it never ends. So although you are the goal is to sell product or services, or the goal may be to elevate your brand and achieve brand awareness, you're spending just as much amount of time and effort in the front end market research effort, as well as once you've kind of established the overarching kind of strategy for your marketing execution, you're still continuing that level of research and investigation to determine what's working, what's not working. We call it metrics. So looking at the data, trying to evaluate the correlation between the actions and behaviors. Remember last week talking about customer behavior and aligning your marketing channels, tactics, and messaging with those behaviors. So you really do spend a pretty significant amount of time throughout the entire cycle on research and investigation, just as much as you do on the actual execution of your marketing campaigns. So hopefully that was helpful. Really enjoyed spending the time with you, and hopefully you guys have gotten something out of it. So take care, and hopefully I'll see you again.